Alright, how's everybody doing? This is video 11 of my 98 Grand Cherokee 4.0 rebuild. And last night I finished getting this piece on, which is a support for your main caps. Kind of strengthens things up on the bottom, just in case. Then today, got my new oil pump installed, and I had to transfer this tube from the old pump, from the old pump into this new pump. And basically what you'll do is you got two bolts holding this thing in. You got one long one, and then you got a short one over here. Take those out, get the pump out, and then what you're gonna have to do is get this put up into a vise. Make sure you're not gonna mar up the surface. If you plan on reusing your old pump, try to grab it on the sides if you can. And then what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to pull back and forth on this. At the same time pulling it out this way because it's pressed in. It's a pretty tight fit. So I had to get it out of the old pump. And before I put the new pump on, I stuck this into a vise. There's a little lip right here on the edge of the tube. I made sure that was up against the vise jaws. And then I took my pump, set it up on top of it. I had some lubricant on there, some grease, and I tapped on it going this way to make sure that it seated back into where it needed to be. So before I put it on though, I took the pickup tube here and cleaned it all out, completely, make sure there's no debris in it. And then so I got that taken care of, and in the process I've got my oil pan sitting over there, and I got my intake. I brought this in today. This is all going to get stripped down, going to make it look like that. So it's going to get all cleaned up. Accidentally brought this in. This is part of the transmission. So I'm going to strip this down probably tonight, start cleaning it, or do it on Friday. Got my cylinder head sitting there just waiting. So in the meantime, while the oil pan is drying, got to do the next thing, timing. And since the cylinder head is off, easiest thing you can do is get a dial indicator. It's a drop indicator. It's a 1-inch. You can buy them at Harbor Freight Tools for like $10, if that. Same with a magnetic base, and they don't have to be accurate. It's just something to get you, when you bring it all the way up top dead center on cylinder 1, you want to make sure that it's also going to read 0. So right now, cylinder 1 is exactly top dead center. It can't go any further than where it's at. So based off that, it tells you that your crank with your key is exactly perpendicular to your cylinders. So once you establish that, you can throw your chain sprocket on, and then you can just loosely throw the sprocket onto your camshaft, rotate your cam until your marks line up. There's one, it's hard to see, there's one right there, one right there. So basically what you're going to do is, if you were to draw an imaginary line straight through all 4 of these, so it's going to go through the 2 bolts and across those 2 lines. They got to match up perfectly. Now for every revolution on your camshaft, you get 2 revolutions down here. So if you take this from top dead center where it's at right now, where these 2 marks are at, go 1 full turn. This will end up back right where it's at, and you'll notice it up here. It'll also go back to reading 0. This mark will be exactly 180 degrees over here. So in order to get this to top dead center for cylinder 1, and for where your cam's got to be, you got to do it. You got to rotate it 1 more time, and then I'll bring this back down. This mark will end up right where it's at again, according to there, and your mark will line up with this. If it doesn't, you got something wrong. Now, if you'll remember in my other video, when I started taking apart the timing chain cover, I think it was video 2 or 3, you noticed all the slop that I had in that chain. Yeah, that was no good. I had about half an inch of play, which is replaceable. This is the new one. It's got full tension on this because I was rotating it clockwise. So all your tension is going to be on this side of the chain. Now it's tight. So my old chain had probably never been replaced. And I won't know that because I didn't get any service records with that Jeep when I bought it. So this is one reason why I like doing my own rebuilds, because I know what all I'm doing. And if you take your time with the build, you know, things look spectacular, and you know, if anything screws up, you know whose fault it is. But if you take your time, you know, things go well. I've already rotated this thing multiple times to make sure that my marks line back up according to my gauge up here, and every time I rotate, it lines up perfectly. So I know that my timing's good. But before I throw anything on the front of this, because you got a gasket here and then your timing chain cover, before I put any sealant on this and lock everything down, what I'm going to do is get my cylinder head put on. And then I'm going to get the lifters put in, I'm going to get the push rods put in, and I'm going to get the rockers put on. And I'm going to test my compression that way, because if I can spin it freely after I bolt everything up with the new head gasket and all that, I've got an issue. So at least that way, if there is an issue with how I got this set, I can pop this off without having to worry about taking the cover off. And I scot-free. Yeah, I don't have to worry about getting another gasket and cleaning everything up again. So better to do it once than to do it 2 or 3 times. So just my word of the wise, before you go ahead and put anything on, before the cylinder head's on, do the cylinder head first. Do all your components up there, and then check your timing again. Make sure you got compression on your motor. It's a little hard to do it turning it by hand, but you can do it. And then once that's good, then you can go ahead and throw your cover up on front, get that locked down. Now, one thing you want to do when you're putting your timing chain cover on, you got to remember you got your crankshaft pulley going on here, and you got your front seal that's right here. So what you want to do is put your cover up in place, and before you tighten anything down, put your pulley on, because what it's going to do is that pulley is going to locate the center of that seal down here, and then you can go around and tighten everything down to torque specifications, and then you can pull your pulley back off, and then you can or leave it on, whatever you want to do, and then you'll be good to go. So, but just remember, you do have a pin here, and there's a spring right behind it, so don't lose it, because this actually puts tension onto the camshaft. It keeps it from walking out, because this is floating. There's nothing behind it, so you know it's going to want to walk. So you got to make sure you get everything put back exactly how it goes, exactly how you took it apart. So hopefully these videos are helping you guys out, and I'm going to continue on with cleaning and painting a few parts. And in the meantime, I think I'm going to get the cylinders prepped up. There's a little bit of debris down in them, so I'm going to clean them out, get the lifters put down in there, then I think I'm going to drop the head down onto this thing and crank her down. So we'll go from there. Thanks, guys.